Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen. We'll begin this evening with an invocation by Dr. Michael Walton, Liberty Community Christian Church.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, town officials, fellow Kernervillians. Let us pray. Loving Father, first let me say thank you. Thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health that we need to fulfill our callings. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work, for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Scripture tells us that as citizens, we ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace, order, and justice. Father, I pray for the agenda set before us today. There is safety in the multitude of counsel, so grant us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, so the outcome will benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved town of Kernersville. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor Walton. We appreciate you. All right, today is our regular meeting day, Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. We have several public hearings tonight, and the public hearing policy is denoted on the agenda. When an agenda item is denoted as a public hearing, persons attending shall be permitted to address the Board of Aldermen regarding the item under consideration, those speaking in favor speaking first, and those against speaking second. Proponents and opponents shall each be given 20 minutes time to speak and may choose to allow one speaker to utilize that time or allocate the time amongst different speakers. In the event that either proponents or opponents have not designated a speaker or speakers, the mayor shall divide the 20 minutes by the number of speakers wishing to address the board. There is also rebuttal available. All right, 1A is a public hearing, a voluntary non-contiguous annexation petition by Kerner Road Development, LLC for property located at 0 Kerner Road at the southeast corner of the intersection of Kerner Road and Dean Road, consisting of 46.903 acres, more or less. We'll begin with a presentation by our Community Development Director, Catherine Garner.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. I don't have a presentation tonight. This is the parcel that was rezoned in 2021 for the Kerner Road development. This is all single-family residential. This is the rescheduled hearing after the road was removed. So all of the concerned citizens were contacted after the road annexation portion was removed, and it's just the parcel that's been rezoned.
Thank you. All right, this is a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open. Signed up to speak, I have Amanda Williams. Is the microphone green?
Now, there we go.
Perfect.
Good
And you can
evening.
put it on top if that helps.
Yep. All right. Good evening. It's been, as Catherine said, about exactly a year that we were here in front of you for this rezoning on Kerner Road. And tonight we're here just for the annexation. Understand last meeting that there was some controversy because, as Catherine mentioned, there was some suggestions of having the road annexed in, but this is strictly for this property. I'm here to answer any questions you may have this evening or provide any more context you need. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Is there anyone here other than Amanda to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there discussion or do I have a motion?
A motion to approve.
A motion by Alderman Thompson for approval,
Second.
second by Mayor Pro Tem Apple. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Mr. Barrow in opposition. Mr. Hooker, just want to make sure you got the motion, the second, the vote, and the time.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Item B is another public hearing, a voluntary contiguous annexation petition by the town of Kernersville for property located at 1223 Union Cross Road with adjoining right-of-way containing 71.49 acres, more or less. Ms. Garner?
Madam Mayor and Alderman, this is the land that was recently purchased by the town for the expansion of Ivy Redmond Park.
This is a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this annexation? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the annexation.
A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Apple,
Second.
second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Mr. Hooker, have you got the motion second and time?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item is item C. It is another public hearing on the proposed financing of the construction of the Recreation and Events Center and paving improvements on various town-owned streets. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor and Board, you have in your packet the quotes that we received from the lending institutions. We put it out to bid. We received 5 quotes back. The Recreation and Events Center, the total amount of the loan was $16,250,000, and the paving was $1,500,000 for a total of $17,750,000. The rec center will be a 20-year loan, and the paving will be for 10 years. You see in your packet there that the low bidder for the rec center and the paving is Webster Bank. They quoted us a 20-year rate of 3.985 on the rec center and a rate of 3.690 on the paving. Everyone else, as you can see, was over 4%. So we were quite surprised to get one in under 4% on that. We did receive a 25-year bid for the rec center from, I think, 2 of the banks, and the interest rate on that was over 4%, of course. We are recommending going with 20 years. The payment's a little bit less, obviously, with 25 than 20, but it worked out we would pay about $2.3 million more in interest over the period of the loan. So say that $2.3 million, we're recommending through the 20 years, payment's about $115,000 a year more. And then it comes down to where it gets to about $80,000 a year more, I think, before the life of the loan is expired. So we're recommending Webster Bank for both of those, Parks and Rec Center and the paving on both of those improvements. This has to be approved. This is part of a process that you'll see. There are several items related to these in your packet that will have to go to the local government commission for their approval. This is one of those. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. If you have any, Finance Director Franz Ader is here as well if you have something for him.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Does the board have any questions of Mr. Swisher?
There's no origination points or anything like that with this loan, is it?
I don't think so, is it, Fran? No.
Okay.
Have we gotten quotes from Webster Bank before?
Webster Bank's, my understanding, used to be Sterling National Bank, and Webster Bank bought them out. And we did, what did we get? Sterling National financed what for us? I can't remember, but I know they financed something. Yeah, I think they
Is it
did.
Parks and Rec equipment maybe?
No, I think it was equipment in general. They financed for us back, it's been about a couple of years, but they expressed interest early on in the Parks and Rec building. And so we sent it to Sterling National, and of course, like I say, it was Webster Bank now, or the guy that was at Sterling National is now at Webster, but same individual that we dealt with then that gave the quote.
And with the way rates have increased recently, was this fixed for a, this won't go up before we have a chance to accept it, is what I'm asking.
It would only go up if, I think it's good through what, middle of February? Yeah, so if we don't,
Okay.
you don't vote on it tonight and say we want to, for some reason, to look at it again in March, whatever, at that point, I'm afraid you would be looking at probably 4.5 for your low rate.
Are there any other questions?
It's particularly without points, it's a great rate in today's market. I hate to see us even approach the precipice of losing that quote.
Yeah, we were a little bit surprised knowing what rates have been lately, to see two of them come in at less than 4. I will tell you, Franz has talked to the folks down at the local government commission today, and they said the rate for 20 years is as low, if not a little bit lower than what they're doing the rates for bonds, the municipal bonds. So it's a good rate. We'll certainly take it if the board approves it, but we were glad to see it less than 4, but a little bit surprised. As you can see, the rest of them weren't. So
Okay, we have a resolution before us. Is there a motion as to the resolution?
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the resolution as presented.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve the resolution approving financing terms.
Second.
And I have a second by Alderman Gorham. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. All right, with the financing in place, once we do everything we need to with local government commission, how long before we can start building?
the gentleman from Salmon is right here, can tell you better, but if I remember correctly, it was what, maybe July before we start doing any work?
Okay. All right, if you didn't hear that, they're looking at May to June to start.
Mayor, I do have one question of Curtis. I do have one question of Curtis, just for the purpose of the folks who are watching or who are here. The question might arise, why are we doing this with financing as opposed to bonds? And there's some reasons for that I believe you share.
Yeah, the bond process, if you can go in and get conventional financing, which is what was just approved, versus the bond process, basically it's the same thing. Used to the bond, you could get bonds for longer term than you could for conventional financing. But being able to get conventional financing for 20 or 25 years is about the same as what you're looking at getting now for a bond. Obviously, the rates now are maybe even higher, a little bit higher for a bond. And the other reason that we chose to go with conventional financing over a bond is when you go out for a bond, you have to hire a bond agent, bond attorney. There's some cost involved in that. It usually runs about right around 10% sometimes of the cost of what you're trying to borrow. So we would be looking at somewhere around the $170,000 to $200,000, unless we could do some of that ourselves. The last bond that we did years ago in 1998, I believe, in 97, were the road bonds. At that point, you had to go to New York to the bonding company and all of that. So now if you can do conventional financing as opposed to bonds, it just saves you that cost of what the bonds cost to do. So we've been fortunate in that we've been able to do conventional financing on everything and not had to do bonds. So it saves you that money. Some bonds has to be voted on. You have to put it on the ballot and has to be voted on and approved by the citizens, which if you did that, that would delay it out until November, which would really, if we were going to do that at this point, we probably should have done that, had it as a ballot issue last election. And yeah, because by November, if you wait and put it on the ballot, then you're looking, who knows what the rates would be.
Thank you. I agree with that. And I think the bottom line on that is that Samet will have equipment on site before we could have gotten the money by bonds.
Yeah, probably a year before we can get it. At this point, if we were looking at doing bonds, there are some bond options you can do that are fairly quick, but it still would take longer than obviously doing the conventional financing. The process here is there are some other items in here for you all to approve tonight related to the rec center. It goes to the local government commission for their hearing in February. I think that's right. Yeah, February. And then if it gets approved at the LGC, we go back to the bank and we probably sign the contract for the money by the end of, middle end of February. And then we're ready to go.
Okay, the next item is speakers from the floor. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board on an item that is not included on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 2B of the public session, which is consideration of a resolution setting the date of a public hearing for a voluntary annexation petition by the property owner for property located at 7501 Watkins Ford Road, containing 1.543 acres, more or less. Ms. Garner?
This is a request from David Michaels and Windsor Homes. They have acquired an additional piece of land adjacent to the Atkins Farm property that was rezoned last year. So they are looking at making some small revisions to their overall site plan. So at next month's meeting, there will be the rezoning and site plan consideration, and then the annexation for this additional parcel.
Are there any questions, or is there a motion?
Catherine, the additional parcel, is this the parcel we were talking about, simplify the structure requirements in our agreement?
Yes, this parcel is up along Watkins Ford Road, so it does help them out with their sewer connection. That's how this conversation was started, according to Mr. Michaels at Planning Board last night, that when he approached Mr. Blackburn about getting a sewer easement, Mr. Blackburn said, well, I'd rather just sell you the whole property. That enabled Windsor to redesign their site plan a little bit, straighten out the road into the subdivision as it comes off of Watkins Ford Road, so it provided some benefits in a couple of different areas.
We're not going to have to condemn that to get it done. That's not going to our condemnation.
He said at this point there were 4 parcels that he needed sewer easements across. He's gotten 2. This is the 3rd, and then he's working with the remaining property owner to try to come to an agreement.
Thank you.
Okay, we have before us a resolution setting time and place for public hearing on annexation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Thompson,
Second.
second by Alderman Gorham. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay, item C is consideration of an ordinance for budget amendment number 6. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor, Board, you have in your packet the budget amendment. We have 2 expenditures along with 2 revenues. The first of those is in the solid waste department. As we talked about last week, we have 2 trucks, and you'll see them in the bottom here, that we need to replace. We need the intent to go ahead and sign the intent to purchase those because it does take so long to get the trucks. But we have found one, and the board said last week that we could proceed forward with that one. So you see that in the budget amendment. It's an automated side load truck, $346,000, and then the loan payment associated with the old one that's coming off lease. We'll make the last payment. And then we have some subcontractor repairs that came up in the central maintenance division and printing charges. And the revenues, of course, we have the loan proceeds that'll come in when we go back and finance that truck. And we balance some we've appropriated $115,000 from the general fund to balance it. So that's the two with the general fund. And then on the back page of that, we have some money that we're moving for the Parks and Rec facility, the Capital Project Ordinance Fund. That doesn't impact the general fund, that just impacts that one fund. We're moving that out, it's the loan proceeds, where we're increasing the loan proceeds. The board just approved that. It was initially 11,300 or 4, now it's 16,500 or 16,750, whichever one. So that increased the loan proceeds in that amount. So pretty easy budget amendment, not a lot in it. Be glad to answer any questions the board may have about it.
All right, are there any questions? We have an ordinance before us for our consideration. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to approve budget amendment number 6, I guess it is, to the ordinance of fiscal year 2022-2023.
Motion for approval by Alderman Gorham. Second by Alderman Penix. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. All right, item D is consideration of a contract award for the guaranteed maximum price of the construction manager at-risk contract for the construction of a rec and events center facility. Mr. Swisher?
You have in your packet the 36-page contract. I will not cover all 36 pages of that. I'll probably cover about 2 lines of it. We've worked with Samet. They've put it out to bid. They've gotten the quotes back in from their subs, and they have now given us a guaranteed maximum price for the Parks and Rec building, which is what we've been waiting on to move forward. Initially, it was the price of the building was about $16.7 million. You know, everything goes up, and it came in a little bit, you know, right around where we were expecting, a little bit more, but not quite as high as it could have been, which is a good thing. The price of the building is now $18,167,100 or $618. So that's a guaranteed maximum price. That is for the building. There are still some items. You know, you have the contractor's fee. You have CPL, the architect's fee, which is we've already paid that. Samet's fee is in that. It's not in the 18 whatever it is, 18,167. I said that. I think is Samet's fee in that? It is in that. So we have the 18,167, and we have put some other items in there that initially weren't in, things such as kitchen equipment, all of that. They're not in the 18,167, but they will be in the loan, money that was borrowed. But the 18,167 is what we have to send to the LGC for the guaranteed maximum price of the building, and then we also send them the loan package that the board just approved. So we were pleased with the price of the building, knowing what construction costs have done. They went through and everything's been bid out. We feel comfortable with what that is, and we're looking forward. If the board approves it tonight, we're looking forward to moving on and sending this information along with the rest of it to the LGC for their approval as well. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. I have a representative here from Samet as well, if you have any questions about any of the bids on any of the different parts
I
of
got a
it.
question for you.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to run into a situation where we got to pay for 100 trucks loads of dirt, are we?
I certainly hope not.
Well, I mean,
It is,
this says that the most we'll ever have to give them is 18,167, 618, right?
That's
For what's
guaranteed.
listed here.
yes.
And if they come up short on their dirt, it's on them to do it. Is that right? Is that right? Yes.
hang on a minute. If you will come to the podium, that way everyone can hear you. And please make sure the microphone is green.
Yes, that price is, price for the soil is based off of a balanced site out there. And we assume the risk for if the balance, if we estimated it incorrectly.
Cool.
Yeah, so if they estimate it wrong, it's on them. If they get out there and it's junky soil, it's on us.
They got, now, if they get out there and it's what kind of soil?
If it's bad soil,
Right.
you know, because we do borings, but you only do so many borings, you don't bore the whole site. So if we get out there and the soil is not stable enough, then they may have to bring in more dirt to stable it up. But if it's just a matter of they just miscalculated something, like happened over at Civitan Park, then that's on them.
That's correct.
Well, you know, I would think the risk of figuring out what kind of dirt it is would fall to them. Because we're not dirt experts. They're the ones building the building and spending 2.7, $2.7 million on site work.
That site work is to move the dirt that's needed to level it out.
That's what I'm talking about.
But we've had boring tests done.
Right.
You know, the best we can tell, there's everything out there is okay. But like I say, you don't bore the whole area. You bore the general area where it's going. And, you know, it's the same. That's the same with anywhere. These folks that go out and if they're digging somewhere and they get down deeper than what they bored and they hit rock, then that's on the person building the building, not the contractor. So, but if it was just a case of, hey, we carried the number wrong when we were doing our addition,
Right.
that's on them.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Any questions are reasonable because we haven't had a lot of time with this document.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Chris Thompson. I have a second by Alderman Barrow. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. We are so excited about this project. I am so thrilled that you're the contractor for it and the competitive processes we have. You know, Samet has just done such good work in our community for private developers. We've inspected a lot of your projects, Samet projects over the years. So we're just delighted that you're here and this is going to get done in this maximum price. You know, every single dollar of this building is important. It's all tax dollars, but we've designed a building that everyone in this community can use that will serve the citizens for 50 years or more. And we just cannot wait to get this project up out of the ground. So I hope that we have the best weather for every stage of the process of construction. And I know that that your company brings a very good reputation and great people to this project. So thank you for being our builder. And we really look forward to this project being completed. Thank you.
I appreciate the kind words. We are looking forward to it. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Josh Wright. I'm the project executive, so I'm ultimately the person responsible for the project, and I'm looking forward to it as a member of the Triad community. You know, having a rec center in a town, and I was talking with Mr. Pages about it, where you know families and can gather and play sports and do leisure activities. It's something to be proud of, and we're going to be a good steward for you and do a good job.
Thank you. All right, we have more to do for the rec center, though. Mr. Swisher, item F is consideration of a resolution regarding a local government commission application for a financing contract for the construction and improvements.
Madam Mayor, we need to do item E first, but item E is a notice of
Okay,
intent
that
to
too.
reimburse. Yeah.
All right, item E, consideration of a notice for intent to reimburse for the improvements.
Yeah, this is reimbursement, notice of intent to reimburse for the $1.5 million of paving. that the board has approved and was approved the 10-year financing contract tonight. So this is just intent to reimburse ourselves for that. Again, this is a step that we have to send to the LGC for the paving.
Okay, so back to paving, which is also really, really good for the citizens and for our community. And what a lot of paving this is. Let's just get us started well on our paving plan. $1.5 million of paving. Okay, this was all in the budget that we already approved, but this gets it started. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Gorham, second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. All right. To the next item, Mr. Swisher.
Item F is the consideration of a resolution regarding a local government commission application for a financing contract. This is the contract that we will send to the LGC for the paving and for the rec center. Again, it's $16,250,000 for the rec center, $1.5 million for the paving. And this is a contract that we will execute for both of those and then send it to the LGC as part of that packet.
Hey, are there any questions?
Curtis, will the paving be done by a subcontractor to Samet or Samet be that?
The paving is separate. That's just for town streets in general.
Okay.
We will put that, I don't think it's been put out to bid yet, has it out to bid. Whoever the low bid is on it, we've used various ones through the years.
Thank you for clarifying.
But the paving of the parking lot there at the rec center, it'll be a subcontractor for Samet.
Okay.
And I don't know who that was, but it was in part of the bid package of the parking
Forgive my
lot.
confusion about the two.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
no problem.
Thank
All right, we have before us an approval of this application.
Motion to approve item F.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Thompson,
you. Second.
a second by Mayor Pro Tem Apple. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. All right, so that resolution passes unanimously, and we will go on to our consent agenda. All of these matters are considered to be routine by the Board of Aldermen and will be enacted by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the matter will be removed from the consent agenda and considered under the following item. A, approval of minutes for the November 30th closed session. B, approval of minutes for the December 6th closed session. And then a series of requests by the Chamber to hold events at Town Hall in 2023. C is request for the use of town property. D is a resolution setting the dates for the spring folly. E is consideration of an ordinance for temporary road closures for the spring folly. F is consideration of an ordinance for temporary road closures for the 4th of July parade and fireworks. G is consideration of an ordinance for temporary road closure for the 2023 downtown trick or treat. H is road closures for the Veterans Day parade. I is closures of the road for the Christmas parade. So all of those are events that have been held in the past, except for the new event, the Veterans Day parade. Do I have a motion first, is there anyone who'd like to remove any of these items from the consent agenda for a separate discussion? Okay, anyone in the audience? Okay, do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Thompson, second by Alderman Gorham. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous.
I got you.
Okay, we are to the town manager's report. Item 5A is consideration of replacement of 2 solid waste vehicles. Mr. Swisher.
Madam Mayor, these were the 2 vehicles that we talked about last week. The board moved forward. We'll get you to vote on both of them tonight again, but the board moved forward with the replacement of the automated side load. That was one that was in the budget amendment. We are replacing one that is, this one replaces one that is coming off lease. We wanted an intent to purchase to move forward with it, 12 to 16 month delivery time on that. We found one though for $346,000 as opposed to the $410,000. So that was in the budget amendment. The board has approved that. Get you to approve that separately. The other truck is a rear load truck. This will replace truck that we wrecked. I believe that's correct, Dawn. That was just wrecked. It has been totaled out. So we need to replace that. We were going to ask the board to approve a letter of intent to replace that. Miraculously, Dawn found one that somebody's got that they're not going to take, and they'll let us have it. I think Hickory had one on order. They were not taking theirs, so we can take that from the manufacturer. We've got to replace it because the one that was doing the work's no longer there. We will get reimbursement, not sure how much. We will get some money back from the insurance company as part of the total vehicle there. I'm not sure, Dawn, what is the price of the one that we found? 193. So we estimated it to be about 200,000 or more. So we found one for 193. So if you would like, you can approve that, or we can just approve the intent to purchase and we can order one. But again, that's a 12-month time frame to get that. Either way, we have to have a truck. So if we can get one now, I think we would recommend going ahead and getting the one that Hickory was not going to take, and then we'll do the budget amendment for the revenue once we get the reimbursement from the insurance company. So you can approve these together, or you can go ahead and approve the first one, and probably approve them separately so that we can go ahead and get the first one approved, and then on the second one, you'll approve either ordering one or taking one from Hickory, and we'll go from there.
All right, if you'd suggest a motion for the first one.
On the first one, I would suggest moving forward with the purchase of the one from Amic Equipment in the amount of $346,000.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Motion by Alderman Gorham, second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Mr. Swisher, if you could suggest a motion for the second.
On the second one, I would suggest a motion giving us approval to purchase the rear load truck. Who has it? Who's the dealer that has it? From CES Environmental? From CES Environmental in the amount of $193,000.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Gorham. Second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Item B, I'll just explain it briefly, and if you got any questions, be glad to answer any. The board voted a couple months ago to donate land to DOT for the Macy Grove Road extension from North Main Street over to Piney Grove. The board approved that. We executed the deed. DOT has since came back and said, we didn't realize there weren't any access points from the town property onto that extension. So they've now given us some access points onto that road, and they've also eliminated a temporary construction easement. So in the end, there's really no more property we're not giving anymore. We're not gaining, I think we're gaining 1,000th of an acre maybe in the end. So it's not a whole lot. I had our surveyor take the deeds with the descriptions, run them. He said that they're basically the same. You have the two maps in there. The one map in the blue, I think it's labeled, it may be the 0107. No, it's the other one. It's the 0104 that shows where the access easements are. The 0107 shows it without it. So you can see there's not a whole lot of difference. But it requires a new deed to be recorded. This board has to approve those deeds. So we're recommending approval of the donation of land with the new access points and the elimination of the temporary construction easement. There were 5 temporary construction easements, and there are now 4. You have both deeds, the new one and the old one, so that you can compare the 2 deeds. But what we're doing, we're losing a temporary construction easement and gaining 8 access points.
Curtis, Mr. Powell has reviewed the deed.
Yes.
Being asked to approves those himself. Yes. Being said, I make a motion that we accept the new deed, revised deed as shown in the package.
Is that the motion you need?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Apple. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by J.R. Gorham. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. All right, item C.
Madam Mayor and Board, if you stay in this business long enough, you learn something new every day. I learned today that when you submit something as a financial performance indicator, whether you submit it on time or you submit it late. It's new to me. I never did know that indicated your financial performance, but I guess it does, according to the Local Government Commission. So in submitting our packet to the LGC for their hearing in February, we submitted the audit to them on December the 9th or 13th, or maybe the 13th. And it had to be submitted by December the 6th. So they said we were late. Because of that, we now have to send a letter to the Department of the State Treasurer indicating the financial performance indicators of concern. So that's a concern to them that we were 7 days late. It was not a concern to us, nor was it a concern to our auditors who did the audit. I guess since they're doing the audit and they did it late, it wasn't a concern to them, but it was a concern to the LGC, and they said we had to submit a letter telling them why it was late and what we were going to do to make sure it didn't happen again. My answer was not quite as good as the one that our finance director put together. My answer was, we're sorry we're late and we'll try to be on time next year. But he said we couldn't submit that. But anyway, you have in your packet the letter that we're submitting them, basically saying, hey, it was late. The Governmental Accounting Standards Board, Statement 87 that deals with leases, changed a little bit from fiscal year 1920 and 2021 to now. So it took us a little longer than expected to complete that portion and made us 7 days late. So if we don't submit that letter, they won't approve our packet. Not only will they not approve it, they won't even hear our submittal. So we have to submit that. The board members have to sign it. We have a copy here for you to sign. Again, it was really the thing that kind of puzzled us is you only have to submit this letter if it's brought up as a financial performance indicator of concern by your auditor, and ours was not brought up by our auditor. They may mention it now since it's obviously a concern to the folks at the Treasury Department, but either way, it's kind of, if you want to play in their sandbox, you got to play by their rules this particular time. And so we'll submit the letter. Still kind of under protest on that, but I understand that, the option is not good. The option would be to wait until March and see if they require us to submit it because it's a different submittal date for March. And then we run the risk of losing the interest rate at 3.9%. So, hey, they've approved our letter. They like our explanation, and we'll go with it. So I would request that the board approve the letter that Franz has drafted to send to the state treasurer explaining our performance indicator.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
A motion by Alderman Thompson, second by Alderman Gorham. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. All right, I have a copy of the letter. I'll sign it and then pass it along. The other two documents are inside the folder. The signature page is on the front. anyone needs a pen, just let us know.
And Madam Mayor, while everybody's signing that, I have one more item. Short one.
It's okay, we can wait.
You want to wait? Okay.
There's one more signature, Mr. Swisher. It's yours.
I don't know if I'm going to sign.
It's not the letter you wanted to send, but
I'm still under protest. We did make some new friends at the LGC today, though. And
it's all right.
Franz has been very cordial with them.
Thank you for your draft of the letter. I would note that the Town of Kernersville Accounting Department has an excellent reputation with the state and has been recognized numerous times.
Learn something new every day. When
This
you
is
deal
called
with that
dotting
much.
your I's and crossing your T's, right?
Why do they want the aldermen to sign that thing? So that they'll know that we're not asleep at the wheel here?
Honestly, I have no idea. I guess it falls in that same explanation of how a submittal date is a financial performance indicator.
It's to give you a heads up in case you need to take action.
I mean,
on
I
the
get-
town manager, probably, John, would be my guess.
I mean, I kind of know the logic behind it really because there's a lot of municipalities and counties across the state that don't submit an audit on time. And when I say on time, I'm talking like if it's due by December, they submit it in like February or March. There's some that haven't submitted an audit for a couple of years. So I guess they want the letter to be signed by the board so that the board acknowledges that, hey, we haven't submitted this. That's all I can figure. But like I say, if you want to be in that sandbox, you got to play with their sand, I guess. It's the way it works. My last item, Madam Mayor, is we're asking the board to approve the police department to apply for one of the JAG grants. We typically apply for these every year, and we've been fortunate to be awarded the grants. This particular one will not exceed $24,500, and the funds will be used to purchase a radar speed trailer. There's no match to the grant, so if we are awarded the grant, then it'll be $24,500 that we're not required to match. So if the board so chooses, we'd like to apply for that grant, and then of course, if we receive the grant, as always, we'll come back to you all to have the final approval on it.
Move we approve the application, Mayor.
Got a motion for approval by Mayor Pro Tem Apple,
I'd second.
second by Alderman Barrow. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous.
I have nothing else, Madam Mayor. I think that is enough. From having nothing to present tonight to spending the bulk of the time, I think I'll be quiet.
Mr. Penix has a pen if you need one for signing that letter.
Do what?
Mr. Penix has a pen he can loan you if you need one for signing that letter.
I got it signed.
Okay.
Ed pushed me into it.
Mr. Powell, do you have anything to present this evening?
No report, but we do have need for a closed session.
Okay, thank you. Matters to be presented by the Mayor Board of Aldermen. I guess today is the day of quick turnarounds. Mr. Swisher's and Franz's quick turnaround of that request by the LGC. And also, I received a request today shortly before lunch and sent a draft letter out at 2:30 today to be typed up. But Mr. Powell reviewed it shortly before the meeting and thought it sounded okay. We've been asked by the Wake Forest Center for Regenerative Medicine to support a grant application they're applying for. And so I drafted a letter, but what they're looking for from the documents they sent appears to be local government collaboration support. And they were not very specific about exactly what that would entail. So Mr. Powell and I adapted the letter of support to close with: the town of Kernersville looks forward to participating in this collaboration to grow this important sector of our economy. By signing below, the town of Kernersville acknowledges we will give every due consideration to collaborate as detailed in the proposal entitled Central Carolina Engine for Innovation in Regenerative Medicine Clinical Manufacturing. And if I hadn't gotten this so late, I would have loved to have forwarded to all of you this letter, which I didn't have till I walked in, printed, till I walked in today on letterhead, and the brochure they sent me about their programs. But it's really innovative programs, and if you'd like, I could take a moment and email it to everybody so you can take a look at it. But I wanted to make sure that I had the board's support to endorse this. They have an endorsement from the city of Winston-Salem that has already been provided to them. So would you like me to send that to you, or a little more description?
Madam Mayor, I think that's certainly an innovative area of medicine that Forsyth County and Winston-Salem and Wake Forest are uniquely positioned to pursue as well as anybody in the country. I think we should be proud to support their efforts to do that. They don't appear to be asking for us to provide any funding at this point. I would hope that we would support our brethren across the city line, across the town limits, to do this.
I'd like to see more information about it, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I'll send it to you, and we can take a quick recess to give everyone a chance to look at it. All right. We'll stand adjourned. had a break and an opportunity to look at the request for a letter in support. Do I have a motion in support of the letter of support?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Apple, second by Alderman Gorham. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. I will send this letter to them, and then we'll put our voices in with the others in support of the Innovations Engines grant. Hopefully provide some good jobs for the triad. This grant is awarded. All right, other matters to be presented by the Mayor and Board of Aldermen. Mr. Thompson?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Barrow?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Apple?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Gorham?
No, Mayor.
Mr. Penix? Okay, I think we have a closed session. All
I
right,
guess we do.
all right.
Okay. Pursuant to the North Carolina General Statute 143-318, .11A3, I move that the board go into closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged and pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A5, discuss the possible acquisition of real property.
Yeah, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Alderman Gorham, second by Alderman Thompson. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, we are now in closed session. Thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome back. This meeting is now in open session. Is there any further business before the board this evening? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Alderman Thompson,
Second.
second by Alderman Gorham. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for joining us.